right, we're going to bring on JC Parets here. We're going to bring him on the line. He is a Marketfy Maven and founder of Eagle Bay Capital. He joins us every Thursday
Hi,
at this time. JC, how
hi,
you?
this is JC.
JC, it's Joel and Dennis. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing excellent, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Stress test results. I know we talked about the financials last week, and I thought you had a pretty good quote. Better places to put your money. They're all getting a nice pop here today. Could you just give us, your take, maybe like on the Citigroup or Morgan Stanley? Any of those issues on your radar?
You know what? If you guys don't mind, I would actually prefer to point out how well the regional banks are doing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, jump into a
Instead
few of
of
those.
instead of the city groups and all that stuff, and it's great. This whole stress test stuff. It keeps journalists employed. It's fantastic. But you want to look at the regional banks. KRE. Last Friday, markets are getting slammed, right? Regional banks up the entire day. Monday comes in, regional banks lead the market higher. Look at this base in regional banks. KRE is the regional bank ETF. Go back a year. You got a nice consolidation, more than a year, about 15 months or so. If we have an upside resolution to this year and change long base, I think it would be extremely bullish, not just for financials, but for regional banks, and I think the market overall.
I like
In
the
a space
chart.
that's
Nice.
done nothing.
I like this. Nice
They've done
consolidation.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, JC. This actually does look pretty good when you're looking at it from this perspective. Is there any individual issues, or you just play the ETF and then you can just play the whole sector? Is that the simpler way to play it?
So as you guys know, I'm a top down guy. So
Yeah.
if and when we do break out, it'll be something I'll worry about then. And then I'll look at the components of the ETF and break it down and look at the individual components, and then I'll make a decision at that point. Is there a better risk reward in an individual name, like, I don't know, a Regions Financial or something like that, or just be in the basket? And at this point, we haven't broken out, so I haven't really worried about it. So I really couldn't tell you what the best opportunity would be. But that's how I would look at it. So I think that's the bigger tell.
JC, like, how would you define a breakout in this? I mean, I see that a couple tops up at 41. Just your criteria. You had a 4-day high, 41.09, then you had a 3-day high, 41.09, then 41.22, and I see a couple other pesky tops here, 41.32 on a few occasions. I mean, what do you use? A close? You just use a breach of the level intraday? What are your criteria for a breakout?
And that's a great question. I want to get I want to get above the December highs. The December highs also represent the November highs. They also represent the highs from last summer. If we start getting above that, I think we're off to the races. And the good thing about this, and we're talking about such a big base in regional banks, we don't have to be in any rush. The bigger the base, the higher in space, right? So
Right?
I think we have time. And I think once we're above those levels, call it 41.30 and change, 41.40. Once we're above those levels, I think we're off to the races. But we do not want to own this if we're below those levels. So to me, that's the key. That's the key resistance.
JC, what about lumber liquidators here? Let's move away here because this thing has been all over the place. Technically, I don't know how to even make heads or tails out of this. Can you look at this from a technical perspective and try to tell something? I mean, this morning, this thing has had already a 20% range, so it's hard to even do a technical when something's moving around this much. But do technicals matter when there's this much fundamental news on something?
I mean, it's not so much that technicals matter. I mean, let's remember what technicals are. Technical analysis is the study of the behavior of the market and market participants. So whether technicals matter, it's not that, this pattern works, this pattern doesn't. Technical analysis is the study of the behavior of the market. All of this nonsense about, this guy's shorting that, 60 minutes doing a thing. All of that is technical analysis. We're here discussing the behavior of the market, and in this case, more specifically, the behavior of market participants. That is technicals. So it's not whether it matters or not. This is what we're doing, right? So if you want to talk about support and resistance, which is part of technical analysis, you could go back to the resistance in 2009, 2010, which we're finding support here, right? Look at a longer-term chart.
Okay.
We have found that support. How much are we going to bounce? Are we going to go back up to the 50s? Maybe. So in terms of short-term volatility, you're going to get 20% swings. So yeah, technicals matter. Of course they do. I think the bigger question is, what is your risk tolerance? What is your time horizon? Are you a day trader? If you're a day trader, you love this. If you're a long-term investor, you want to be, putting lumber liquidators in your retirement account. I mean, I don't know about that. So I think it just really depends on who you are. I'm not in it, but I like it. I think it's probably good for a mean reversion.
Okay.
Back into the 50s. Sure.
Okay. Let's just talk a little bit, macro here, a little bit about the dollar, UUP as the ETF that represents the dollar. That's a pretty looking chart there. This is a longer term. This is a monthly. Daily too, just kind of moving up steady. What do you think's driving the dollar?
More buyers than sellers. There's no doubt about it. That's what's driving the dollar. You look at the components of the U.S. dollar index, and the euro is, close to 60% of that, right? We hit a major extension yesterday that I was pointing out on. I wrote about it on the blog. We're talking about it on StockTwits and Twitter. We hit the 161.8% Fibonacci extension of the entire 2009 to 2011 decline. We hit that yesterday. We also hit the 261.8% extension of the consolidation between January and February. We hit that yesterday. So I'm not surprised that dollars are getting killed here and the euro's ripping. I'm not surprised at all. There's a big, big level. More and anecdotally, I can't go to a TV interview, or I can't receive an email from any media outlet out there that is not about the dollar. Go my entire career, nobody. And I get emails and phone calls from all these media outlets. You name the network or whatever. No one has ever cared about the dollar. Never in my entire career has anybody asked me about the dollar, and I can't go 2 seconds without being asked about the dollar. So anecdotally, and you guys are a good example. Anecdotally, the obsession is there. I think we're stretched. I think that was it. I think dollars are going lower.
Okay, all right.
I really do. And I think that the biggest beneficiaries of a weaker dollar are going to be the names that have gotten killed because of dollars. So, for example, dollar-denominated global ETFs, right? All of these guys that are getting killed because of a stronger dollar, I think are going to benefit. Emerging markets, I think, are going to benefit. I think that's where we need to be looking on the falling dollar, because this has gotten a little ridiculous, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. We do have some traders out there that are going to be in there getting down and dirty in the banks today. So just real quick, can we do a couple technicals on some of the bigger banks like Wells Fargo here? That stock is trading up here in the pre-market.
Wells Fargo's not moving much. Let's jump in. I want to know his thoughts on Citi there, though.
Okay, Citi.
Just
Let's
Joel,
go to that.
because Citi is up over 2 points here. It's coming to this huge 54 has been huge for this thing. It's trading over in the pre-market at 54.20 here right now. But JC, what are your technical thoughts here just on the big Citigroup bank? It's already traded 357,000 shares. There's a lot of people going to be trading this thing today.
Yeah, let's get into that real quick, and just from a structural perspective, let's just give the audience some perspective here. Citigroup is a mess. Citigroup's done nothing in 5 years. Citigroup's at the same price it was in 2009. I mean, just what a disaster that is. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo has just been an absolute beast. One of the only ones in that group that have really done anything over the last 3-4 years. Really exploding to the upside. So let's just from a structural perspective, I think that's worth pointing out. Getting back to Citigroup, oh, what a mess this thing. I mean, talk about, if you're an investor in Citigroup, you have made zero money since the summer of 2009, which in the U.S. stock market, to say that, you got to be one terrible company. So with that said, I kind of like this base. With that, I got to tell you, looking bigger picture, the fact that it's done nothing, and if you're an investor in Citigroup, I mean, blow your brains out. I mean, what a terrible investment that was. But now, a little bit more tactically, guys, it looks, I think it's got a shot. I really, really do. But wait for it to get out of the base. Wait for us to get out, above the highs from December. Now we have an upward sloping 200-day moving average. I don't think we're going to break out tomorrow or this month or maybe even next month. But I think we do, and we want to be buyers of that breakout for sure. I think more time is needed. We want think about it like regional banks. I think they break out simultaneously, most likely.
Let's move on. JC, I want to take you over to Apple here now because everybody was jumping in Apple earlier in February, had the huge run, was up for like 8 of 9 days in a row. Now, if we look, the trend's completely reversed here. It's been down for like 8 of the last 9 days here. Obviously, we've already had the iWatch event, and investors have said maybe they don't like it that much because the stock sold off 7 points since that time. What are your technical thoughts here on Apple?
Well, as you guys know, we talk about this all the time. These events that, again, it's great for journalists. It keeps journalists employed. But for market participants, we can't worry about that nonsense about iWatch events or whatever. We need to look at supply and demand dynamics. And, we sat here on this radio show for weeks. And, at the beginning of February, we were talking about it. Guys, I think we break out. We want to buy the breakout. And the target is 129. Look at that weekly chart. We hit 129 and went nowhere after that. And we've been selling off ever since. So, yeah, maybe in the middle of the week after hitting 129, we went out maybe one more day and then got crushed. That's why we have these levels. And you guys asked me, what do? Do you raise your stops? No. We get out. We sell it. We hit the target, goodbye. And we look elsewhere. And this is a good example. We hit that 129 and have been selling off ever since. There's no reason to be in this name. Target was hit. Upset objective achieved. Goodbye. We'll worry about it another day, at another time. There's no reason to be in this. Sure. Can we get a bounce back up to 129? Sure. Do I want to be in that? No. I told you guys that I would much prefer, you asked me if I would be a buyer of dips. I said no. I said I would be a buyer of a breakout after consolidation above 129 that we did not get. So at this point, you're bottom fishing, hoping for the best because it's the biggest company in the world and the media loves to talk about it, and it's cool to talk about at cocktail parties that you own Apple. But in reality, if you want to make money, you're bottom fishing something in a correction. That's not for me. Who wants to do that?
Do you try?
I want to see it stabilize. I want to see it stabilize around 120. If it does, maybe, but I wouldn't touch this thing anytime soon.
What about? Do you try and use your philosophy for a short position, or are the fundamentals too strong on it? Do you try and trade both sides of the market on something like that?
Well, I don't know anything about the fundamentals of Apple. A lot of people like to pretend they do. For me,
that's why I love JC. I just got to interrupt. That's a great comment. You're a technical trader. You stick to the technicals. You stick to what you know, and you don't try to pretend that you know something that you don't. That's why we love you, JC.
I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, the fundamentals of Apple. I mean, I don't know. I'm on an iPhone right now, right? You know,
Are you
It's
gonna
working.
Are you gonna buy an iWatch?
it's-
Are you gonna buy a
it's
watch?
working. Maybe actually.
We got a maybe.
You know,
Write that one down.
Okay, we got it.
I got I did dress as Dick Tracy for Halloween when I was a little kid once. That is a true story. And I did have a watch and everything. In fact, I'm gonna make my mom find a picture of that and I'll put it up there. Yeah, I mean, do I want to short it? No. You know, the biggest company in the world making new all-time highs, is that something you want to be shorting?
Nope.
There's easier things to short. I mean, why would I, why would I do that?
My favorite Halloween costume, I was a jailbird. I had the stripes and the hat and everything. That was my favorite one. But I want to ask you about Alibaba here. This thing has been bouncing around between 80 and 85. We didn't even talk about the news on Alibaba today, did we?
A big $200 million investment in
It's
Snapchat.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of Alibaba?
How much did they do? How much did they do?
I think they got like 1.5% of the company. They paid $200 million for it, which would value Snapchat at like $15 billion if you're considering that, which seems absolutely ridiculous to me. But I know these valuations can get crazy here sometimes. So that they invested $200 million in Snapchat.
I love you guys, but Snapchat is not. It's not for your generation. You know, with all due respect, it's the way the kids are communicating these days. You know.
So you think Snapchat's worth $15 billion?
I don't know what the hell it's worth. I mean, I'm the last
I don't even know what it is. I know it pops up and then the chat message goes away. But
all I'm telling you is this: it's how the kids are communicating these days.
Oh, look.
That I'll tell you.
They're laughing at us here. They're laughing. The kids are laughing
all the
at us.
Benzinga kids in there.
Yeah,
they all
laughing at us.
communicate with
Okay, we
Snapchat?
need-
They know. They agree with me. They know. I'm telling you. It's how the
Are
kids
you
are
using
communicating these days.
Snapchat?
Come on,
Are you
Brianna.
Snapchatting right now? JC,
Brianna.
are you Snapchatting?
I am not Snapchatting right now. I do have a Snapchat. I think I follow like my sister and and Alex Tarhini, an old trader of mine. I mean that's all I got. I mean, what do you want from me? But I am telling you, that's how the kids communicate these days, guys. I'm telling you, their parents are on Facebook. They're not on Facebook anymore. They're on Snapchat. They like their stuff disappearing. I'm telling you. But in terms of the stock itself, because I can't tell you what it's worth. I'm the last. My opinion is the last one you want on that.
Technically, though, let's take a look at Alibaba. I mean,
Technically, if we take our last week's highs, we're off to the races.
if we take out what?
Last week's highs.
Oh, okay. Okay. Brianna, do you use
We're off to the
Snapchat?
races.
I know, like, everyone I know uses Snapchat. I don't use it right
Everyone,
now.
well, you know me and Joel, and we don't use
Well,
Snapchat.
okay, I'm sorry.
She doesn't
I meant
claim that outside
everyone in
the
my
office.
peer group uses it.
Okay, I need.
Joel, we're on the outs on Snapchat.
I need a
Everybody
tissue.
thinks this,
I need a
everybody's
tissue
laughing
here.
at us here. Shub says he
You
uses
guys,
it all the time too.
you guys are like 100.
Oh, give us a little bit of a break there. Yeah, we're
It's
old
not,
though. Older.
Snapchat is not for you guys. It's not. You guys
Divided by
don't get it.
2, 100
Trust me.
divided by 2. How old are you, JC?
Joel's brain, it doesn't even move fast enough for the Snapchat. He missed the message.
Okay, we've
The
been.
message is only up there.
My-
I'm sorry, Joel.
My
That was
point
me.
exactly. My point exactly.
I don't have a Facebook either. Anyways, we've been on the line with JC
He's
Parets.
got to let me go down.
He's a Marketfy Maven, and he's the founder of Eagle Bay Capital, and he tells you exactly what he thinks. That's why we love having him on every Thursday. Thanks a lot, JC. We'll keep an eye on your calls here in the market, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks, JC.